End-of-year exams have been underway for Australia's school students, a sleepless time of the year for pupils and parents alike. But it's not just swatting that's causing bleary eyes. Among other things, late-night computer and mobile phone use take a heavy toll. Mental health experts say disrupted sleep is both a major trigger and aggravator of mental illnesses such as depression. And greater emphasis on physical education to balance Australia's crowded school curriculum is being prescribed as the best medicine. Karen Barlow reports.
Sleep is a precious commodity, but cut into the recommended 8 hours and brain and body functions are jeopardised. Bronte O'Brien knows the desperation of being a young insomniac. Diagnosed recently with bipolar disorder, lack of sleep did not help her condition.
I would sleep all day and not go to school. I could sleep for 3 days at a time, stay awake for 3 days at a time, which, because I wasn't in the normal cycle of school life or life in general, I missed out on a lot and felt very isolated and alone.
What were you doing at night time?
What was I doing? What was I doing?
Anything but sleeping?
Yeah, basically anything but sleeping. Yeah, anything but sleeping, yeah.
Teenage sleep problems are aggravated by late-night technology use, internet, mobile phones and computer games. By staying awake until almost dawn, the circadian rhythms of teenagers are disrupted. And mental health experts warn there's a long-term risk.
Disruption of sleep cycles, we think, is one of the major risk factors, on top of some others like alcohol and drug use and changes in other social factors, that is contributing to increasing rates of anxiety and depression and other mental health problems in young people in developed societies.
While sleep should happen outside school hours, Professor Ian Hickey says schools have a responsibility to make sure young people get enough of it.
The 24-hour body clock is a 24-hour clock. How well you sleep at night depends on what you do during the day. So schools are very important in terms of maximising physical activity and social and cognitive activity during the day. Increasingly we have a concern about lack of physical activity during the day contributing to poor sleep at night and changing expectations of academic performance and not enough emphasis on physical activity and social activity during the daylight hours to help you get to sleep earlier and sleep better at night.
But Australian schools have a crowded curriculum and there's intense competition for academic results.
Phys ed at school is often the first subject that kids drop anyway. They did encourage sport at my school and I didn't participate. I sort of slept through the cracks with that and found other recreational things to do which were very harmful.
Current priority areas are English, maths, science and history. But Jeff Emmel from the Australian Council for Health, Physical Education and Recreation says that academic emphasis is to the detriment of basic exercise, which would boost the mind's ability.
We know it's important not only to offset health risks, but it's important for their brain development. And there's so much more research now coming to the fore about how important brain development is and how movement, human movement and physical activity actually stimulates that level of brain development.
30 years ago, there was an Australian model of 1 hour of daily physical activity. Now the average across the nation for schools is just 2 hours a week.
I think that leaves a young person at considerable risk. Now, we know that schools are not the only places where children need to be active, but schools must accept a great responsibility for playing their part.
Professor Ian Hickey believes academic results will actually be improved by less class time.
Schools have it wrong because the curriculum has it wrong. If we're going to have a national curriculum, let's have one that actually has the critical things in it, like timing and place of physical activity and social activity, not just more and more academic content, more and more rules about what you should learn than how you best learn. So 2 hours a week would be better replaced by 2 hours a day of the appropriate physical and social activity to drive the levels of activity you need to sleep well, to learn well, and then to perform well.
Another way to tackle teenage sleep troubles is to start school later. A recent study in the US has found a small delay improves adolescent alertness, mood and health. But Professor Ian Hickey says adjusting school hours is just shifting the problem.
we've got to be much more thoughtful about the degree of physical activity, appropriate social activity, the way in which it's structured and timed to get the best cognitive outputs as well as the best physical health that we can out of the whole school experience.
Which would give teenagers a sporting chance as they enter adulthood. Karen Barlow, Lateline.